Hi everybody, it's Adam from Pan Intelligence, and we're just going to run you through today's video, which is for the July 2020 dashboard release. I'm going to be joined by Adil, one of our test leads. He's going to run us through the actual changes to the dashboard. So this video is going to cover off some highlights for those people who just need a quick reference guide. So what's in the release, which areas have we made changes to. Adil's going to then run us through a quick demonstration of where those changes occur in the dashboard itself. We'll recap on the areas of where you can find the release if you need to install that and upgrade to the new version. And we've got some what I would call rather shameful pie plugs, which are effectively things that we are doing and have been doing in Pan Intelligence that you might find beneficial and might help you with your customers as well. So in this release, we can summarise the areas of the dashboard where changes have been made. For chart attributes, we've introduced some new features around how targets can be configured. For data connections, we've introduced a new Snowflake data connector. So for those of you who integrate and want to use that data within the dashboard, that's now available. From a security point of view, we've introduced some new password strengths and capabilities in that area. For those of you who use reports, we've also introduced a few changes around Pi reports and the scheduling. Off the back of the alpha release, which provided new import-export functionality using JSON, we've added a few extra changes to support that going forward. From an administration point of view, we've made a slight change to the port selector and how configuration gets reset. And for upgrades, we've made a change to how MariaDB config files get applied during a Windows upgrade. So for everybody at Pan Intelligence, you'll know that the panint reference numbers are what we use to track changes internally. Our customers will be familiar with some of these too. So if you've looked at our release notes previously, you'll be familiar with the reference of panint. This is just a slide to help give you a perspective of what those reference numbers are. For anybody who does prefer the old school way of looking at the release notes, there's a screenshot right now available where you can look at the content of what relates to which panint reference number. So let's not waste any more time. I'm going to hand you over to Adil and he's going to run you through the changes we've made to the dashboard.
Yeah, guys, so I'm one of the test engineers here at Pan Intelligence, and what I'm going to be doing today is talking you through some of the stuff that we have on the release notes, and just showcasing some of the items that we've got on there. So we're going to start off with the reporting section and what we've fixed in the reporting section, starting off with some tooltips here that were missing or were incorrect. So previously we had a problem where the tooltips would not represent accurately what was being displayed for the icon, and now as you can see, when we hover over it, it does tell you. So we've got the first one, which is add page number, the second which is add image, third one being add text, and then the fourth one being add date. So that is something that's been fixed in this release for the July one. Another thing to do with reporting that's been fixed is to do with having a chart displaying nulls. So you have the options in the themes where you can have the null value displayed as it is being displayed here in the legend item. And the problem we were having was that the null value description was not being shown in the legend within a report, despite it being on the chart. So this has now been obviously fixed. So as you can see, I've added this chart, which is the same chart, onto this report. And when we preview this report, you can see once it loads that the null value is now being displayed in the report. So this goes for previewing it and downloading the report as well. So that's another issue that's been fixed to do with reporting. I'm sorry, the third issue that we have fixed is to do with user variables being ignored on scheduled reports. So we had the issue of having user variables that were connecting up to the data connections not working when we were using it in a reporting instance. So we've got this data connection here that we used in testing, And as you can see, the database name is being replaced by a variable. Now this variable is being used as a user variable for this user that I've created from using my name, as you can see here. So what that means is that this variable is also not defined globally, which means that the admin account itself will not be able to see the chart. As you can see, is throwing errors, and the error is that obviously it has an unknown database name. However, when I log in as myself, which I'm going to do now, you should see that the variable will kick in, and that chart will load absolutely fine here. So the problem we were having was that despite it loading fine when I'm logged in as this user that's using that user variable, on the reports it wouldn't actually use this chart. It would say that the chart had errors. But as you can see now, we've got this report here which is using that chart, and if we preview it, it is working absolutely fine. There you are. So this will also work with it being downloaded as a PDF, as well as it being scheduled as well, when you're logged in as that user that's using that user variable. So what this gives you the ability to do is, if you have multiple users that connect to a data connection using different database names, and you have those set up through user variables, you can actually use them without any problem now. So the next section that we're going to be moving on to is the import-export section. So we had 3 tasks in the sprint related to import-export. 2 of them which were just general code tidy up. So what we just wanted to do was just tidy up some of the background code that makes the import-export work. Just clean up some of the code there, just to make it better for debugging in the future, just in case you know, when we need to add more functionality to it, or change functionality to it. So 2 of the tasks related to them were just literally just to do with that. So there's nothing really different from user's perspective. So yeah. But the one thing that has changed is that the order of the data fields are now alphabetically ordered for when the file is exported. So I can just show you that right now. So if we've got this data connection that we use here, if I just export this, you'll see that it exports into a JSON file here. So when you now open the JSON file, you'll see that the majority of the data fields are alphabetically ordered. So it starts with C, as you can see here, then D, M, O, U. Same with the other ones as well. So it starts off with A, C, D. So these are now alphabetically ordered. So that's just one change that was made to the import-export. All right, guys. So the next section we're going to be moving on to is the chart attribute section. So in this section, guys, we've got some stuff that's been fixed, and also some new features as well to do with targets. So I'm just going to highlight what's been fixed first. So this is in relation to the user variables that we showcased earlier in reporting. So user variables were also breaking drill downs. So as you've seen in the reporting section, I did set up the user variable on a user, and that's now been fixed. So now I'm logged in as that user, as you can see, and the user variable is there. And the issue we were having before was the drill downs would not work correctly when or would not allow you to add a drill down before, and now it does allow you to add a drill down and then function that drill down. So as you can see, I've just added a drill down to this chart that already existed here, and if I just click on here, as you can see, the drill down is working absolutely fine. There was also issues to do with removing the drill down and then saving the chart as well. This has now also been resolved, so you can now actually remove the drill down and then save the chart as well. So that's now been fixed. Yeah. Right, so the next thing that was in the chart attribute section was to do with targets. So we got some new functionality within the target section that you lot can also use on your charts. So the first one is to show target tooltips. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to build a very simple chart, and I'm going to add a target and show you how you guys can also add target tooltips to your charts. So what I'm doing here is I'm just built a simple bar chart, and we're going to head over to the target section, and we're going to add a target. Now you'll notice straight away when you do go to add a target that you have this new button here which shows use target values unlabeled, and so that's the only visible change that you'll be able to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the color of the target right here, and I'm just going to add a simple target that's going to go up to 300. Now straight away when you add this target, what you will notice is that you can now hover over the target line, which will then display to you where the target is going from and where the target is going to, and that will obviously change depending on what you have here. So if I change this target value to go to 500, for example, you'll see that it will display 500 in the target tooltips. So there is no option to turn this on or off. This is permanently on there, and as you can see, it'll do that. So this will also work for if you're doing, your positive affinity or your negative affinities as well. So obviously, if you have a positive affinity, because it's going to continue drawing the target, it will not display the target tooltips. But if you have your min and your average, for example, so if I have a min and I'm going up to the average, and if you hover over it, it will show you the min and the average values in there. So the only ones that it does not work with is the positive and the negative affinities, just due to them being a continuous target. So the next thing the next new functionality, as you can see, obviously what we're going to move on to is the use of target values on labels. So if you tick this option when you add a target, you can see that you get some text on the target itself, on the chart itself, that displays essentially what's being displayed on the tooltip. So it tells you the target from, which is a min of 0.00, and the target to, which is the average of 405.00. So that's now an option to be displayed. So that is optional. So you can tick this to display or undisplay. And obviously, if you add a label, which has been a functionality that's been available for a while, it'll just add it to the front of that as well, as you can see. So it'll put that there as well. So yeah, so that is the new functionality surrounding targets. I guess, yeah, so the next section that we're moving on to now is going to be the data connection section, guys. So we've got two issues, two sprint items that were in here. So the first sprint item was to do with an Oracle issue that's now been resolved. So the issue that we had was that it was hard to introspect, or it was failing when you would introspect a Oracle data connection that used a enclob column type, but the value was cast as a varchar. Now this is a very specific issue that's now been resolved. So now you should be able to view the column values when introspecting an Oracle data connection that uses an enclob column type. So that's the first issue that's been fixed to do with data connections. The second thing is not really an issue, or it's not really an issue that's been fixed. It is a new item. It was part of the roadmap that we have, and it was the Snowflake Connector data connection that's now been added. So now, guys, when you go to add a new data connection, you'll see an option which will say Snowflake now, so as a data source type that you can select from. And if you have your Snowflake set up, you can then enter your details here. So as you can see, it'll require you to have a host name, a warehouse name, a database name, and then the username and password. And then once you're connected, you can see that you can set it up just like you set up any other data connection with all the details here, and then you'll be able to use this as a data connection to build charts from this. So this is a new option that you can use, and you need to have your details ready and set up through Snowflake before actually applying the details here in the dashboard. in here, guys, we've got two updates for you. So the first update being upgrading Tomcat to the latest version. So our Tomcat was out of date and it needed to be updated to the latest version, which it is now. So the version that it sits at is 8.5.56 now. So it is the most up-to-date version of Tomcat that we are on right now. The second one is to do with password policies, notably weak password policies, and having some sort of verification process for that. So this is, again, would be new functionality, so you will notice this. So I'm just going to quickly run you guys through how it works and how you can set it up yourselves and what you can do with it. So if you head over to the so if you guys head over to the configuration screen, and if you head over to settings, you'll see that there'll be two new fields here on the left hand side under security configuration. The first field being prevent users from using compromised passwords and prevent users from using weak passwords. So you can have these options. These options are unticked by default, but you can have then turn them on manually if you want them. And if you do turn them on, what that allows you to do is obviously prevent users from using compromised passwords and also prevent the users from using weak passwords. So where will you see this reflected? Well, this is usually going to be reflected when you go into the admin panel screen, which you can access through the three dots on the top right hand corner and hitting on the admin account or whatever username account is there. As you can see in the change password section, we have three new options now. So we have length, strength, and safety. So when you have those two options ticked in the configuration screen, when the user tries to set up a new password, they would need to adhere to all these options here before they can set up a new password. So if the length is weak, or if the strength is weak, or if the safety is weak, then it will not allow you to set up a new password. So if you hover over these options as well, it does tell you that what the issue is as well. So for the safety, it says the password is known to have been compromised. Obviously, this is a password analysis that's been done through Have I Been Pawned. The strength, obviously, if you hover that, it says the strength is bad. And then obviously the length as well, you can see that it says the length is insufficient. So once you set up a password that has sufficient enough length and strength and safety, it will allow you to save the password as well. So as you can see, this one it ticks them all now. So it says the length is fine, strength is fine, the safety is fine. But say if I chose a weak password, it would then flag this as a weak password. So once you filled in both fields, it will tell you. So it says the length is fine for it, but the strength and the safety is not fine. That the password has been compromised before, and the strength of the password is not really great either.
Just to jump in there, Adele, is there an option where people can see what the criteria is through the password analysis? Apart from the tooltips, can they actually get to that content so that they know, for example, excuse me, the criteria of what the length needs to be?
No, there isn't any actual place where you can actually see where the length, how long the length should be, or the strength or the safety can be. It does tell you underneath here that what it's been using. So obviously, if I click on this, it tells you it's using Have I Been Pawned. At this point, obviously, if you put your email address in, it can show you. It can show you if your account's been compromised in the past before, and obviously this other one is just what it's using to calculate the strength, and it's a tool that's been used to calculate the strength and the length essentially. But that is a good option though that we could have in the future, that I could say, oh, your password needs to be X amount of longs, and it needs to be the strength needs to be like this, or the safety needs to be like this. We could have the option here at some point though.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, guys, so just to wrap this up now, we've got just two more stuff that's in the release notes. First one to do with administration, the second one to do with upgrading. So with the upgrading one, guys, we had a problem where upgrading on a Windows Server environment didn't really resolve the time zone problem that we were having before. So essentially, if you would install a version of the dashboard that was prior to the April release, and then you would upgrade to the latest version, the dashboard would no longer work correctly. This has now been resolved, so you can now upgrade, and this issue was only pertaining to the Windows Server environment as well. So if you had a dashboard installed on a Windows Server environment. So now this has been resolved. Pertaining to the administration issue that we had, so we had a problem where if you would change a configuration manually, i.e. if you would edit the py.xml file that comes with the dashboard to update any of the values in there, and then you would run the port selector and close the port selector, the configuration was not maintained, and it would reset. So now this has been resolved. So if you do decide to make changes to the configuration manually, and then open the port selector, the configuration changes you've made manually will then be maintained. But this is not something that we kind of actively encourage people to do. The reason being is because the port selector would always be the best and the first option to use to make any configuration changes. All right, guys, so thank you for your time. I'm just going to hand back over to Adam now.
Thanks, Adil. I appreciate you running through that for us. Hopefully other people have found that useful as well. Giving a visual overview of where the changes are occurring in the dashboard is really what the purpose of this video is all about. So thanks for taking the time to run us through that. If there are any questions or any queries around any of the content in the release, please do get in touch with us on the support desk, which is support@panintelligence.com, or equally, you can reach out to your account managers if you need to. So there's three areas you can get hold of the release from. One is the customer download area. For those of you who use that on a regular basis, you will have received new login details for that as a result of some fresh updates that we've done in that particular area. So please have a look. Again, if you have any problems, please do get in touch with the account manager or our support team. For those of you who are using AWS, our images for this new release are available now to be able to download from AWS Marketplace. For those of you who are using Docker, we can provide you with access to our containers through Docker Hub. So if you want to get your copy or images of the release from there, we can enable that for you as well. So just to confirm, the release is available right now. So please download it, install it, let us know what you think. I did say at the top of the video that we're going to come away with some quite shameful Pi plugs. I think what it's important to do as well is take the opportunity to share some of the great work we are doing at Pan Intelligence that will help you and benefit you and your customers as well. So we've introduced 3 training courses which are now available to book online through our website. There's a standard introductory course which many of you will have already been on and sent customers and employees of yours onto, which is how learning really to understand what the dashboard's able to do and how to configure it. We also have an advanced chart designer course for people who want to take it to that next level. And we also have an advanced configuration course where we look a little bit more at the back end of the dashboard and how that can be configured. So there are now 3 very specific training courses that are available. The website address for all the training courses is listed below. Please have a look. There may be something that you might find beneficial, there may be something that a member of your support team might find beneficial, or equally you might have a customer who might be struggling with a particular aspect and one of these training courses could help them. So feel free to direct them through to these websites and we'd love to be able to help you with those. As well as part of Pi Academy, in addition to the training courses, there are a number of training videos which we have as part of that site too. We do try and update those as part of each release, so when new features and functions come in there, we add those in for future reference, so please keep an eye on that. We're happy to create new content. Really, we do just want to get an understanding of the things that you would want to see more of. Our cloud development team have done a great job of refreshing our license manager. So for those of you who've actually used License Manager for creating licenses or are familiar with it for different reasons, we actually have a new version of this that went live on Monday this week. So if there are any questions or queries around access or setup, please do get in touch with us. We've got some user guides, we have some videos alongside this as well, so we can help you with any support that you might need around that. And one of the things that's been really difficult during this COVID period is missing out on the opportunity of holding our partner event. So it's great to hear that we're actually looking to launch a virtual partner event on the 24th of September. So please keep an eye out for the invites as they come through to you. Account managers will be reaching out to our partners so that we can actually get you all signed up for that as well. So I look forward to hearing and seeing from you then. Very last point is this isn't the first time we've released one of these videos to our customer base, and I think it's really important that we take the opportunity to listen to any feedback that we might have. I'm sure I'll get lots internally on how we can improve things and tweak things going forward, so I look forward to seeing some of the feedback we get internally. I would, however, love to hear from our customers and really understand about whether this helps. So if you found this video useful, please drop me a note back to adam.vokes@panintelligence.com, or equally reach out to your account team as well. So thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I look forward to giving you another update of how we've got on with our August release and the content that we've managed to get into there for you as well.